Hello, and welcome to the Telescope Show. We laugh, we discover God, and we totally nerd out. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson.
And I am Katie Seipel Anderson.
And today we are talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And if you're listening, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
And listen.
And listen very closely.
Because we have an announcement we're going to make at the end.
That's right. You're not going to want to miss.
Kind of important announcement.
Stay to the end of the show. Speaking of shows, there are so many Marvel shows coming out. We've already had 3 feature films. There's another feature film coming out, The Marvels, in the fall. Sony has a movie called Kraven the Hunter, which is a Spider-Man thing. That's coming out this year. And we also have Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which is a sort of a spin-off from WandaVision. We've got Echo, which is a spin-off of Hawkeye. Ironheart, which is a spin-off of Black Panther. Do we sense a theme here?
Maybe.
Also, What If Season 2, which is animated, and Loki Season 2.
And there's an animated Spider-Man coming out too, right?
Oh, yes, and the animated Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is the second installment of Miles Morales as Spider-Man.
And I just found out that there's like a more little kid version of Spider-Man that just came out too, because one of our daughters was watching it. So I was like, hey, wait a minute. That's like a age-appropriate Spider-Man for her, which was kind of fun.
They're literally bringing him in young.
They kind of have to, because when you think about like when the first Iron Man came out, I mean, that was like 15 years ago. So some people who are coming into the I want to watch movies realm are like weren't even born when those were coming out. So they have to bring up a new generation of watchers, people who are interested in Marvel characters, relatable. And some of the original characters are just straight up getting to the point where we might be seeing some sort of like Harrison Fordish type reboot of them in the next 10 years or something, where they come back as like the guide or something.
That'd be cool.
Because there's like an Indiana Jones thing coming up, isn't there?
Yeah.
We saw the previews for that. Where he's back.
He's back. For one final adventure.
Maybe. We'll see. I'll believe it.
Which one of the Guardians of the Galaxy would you want as your personal advisor?
Oh.
Mantis could just touch you and change your emotions.
There's some danger to that.
Yeah, she likes to play pranks.
Yeah. I think that I don't know that I'd want her as my personal advisor.
Okay. How about Drax? He'd give straightforward advice. Maybe not sophisticated enough.
Well, he was having some issues with the whole metaphor thing, so I don't know. Metaphors are a great way of advising people, so maybe I would want that as an option at least.
Rocket is pretty brilliant.
He is pretty brilliant. I was actually, because then I'm like, Star-Lord, I don't know. He's kind of,
He's got some competence and kind of a go-get-'em attitude, but he's also a little bit of a wild card.
Yeah, and he's had some like kind of like times recently where you're like, yeah, you should go heal some before you're in leadership roles again.
Not Gamora.
Well, not this Gamora. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it would be Nebula.
You know what?
Or maybe it would be the dog.
The dog. As long as
it might be Nebula. Her character really developed in this past movie, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so did Mantis's character, and even Drax. There's a lot of character development that happened. But I'd say Nebula's character really kind of took on a different role. Very much more of like a leadership role and a caring role, too. At the end, like what she wanted to do for the people that they rescued. That showed a level of leadership and caring that we didn't see in her before. Especially
going from a super vindictive character, literally trying to hunt down her sister and pay her back, to what we saw in this movie, total change.
Big change. And you can argue that that's because of the love that she felt and saw with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Love and acceptance, and, you know, that even just sometimes being a part of that can really change you as a person.
Can I go deep on that for a second?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for the deep. Wait, let me grab my coffee. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for the deep.
So her character developed out of this place of suffering. She had a very traumatic childhood, lots of suffering, lots of problems. At first, it made her very bitter, very hateful, but because she chose love and let love into her heart, she was able to turn that pain and suffering into something positive, and now she's making a better world for a lot of people.
Who are also hurt.
And she wants to make other people's childhood better than her own.
Yeah, and that's a huge character development thing, because it goes from the selfish piece of I've been hurt to I've been hurt and I'm going to help other people, and it kind of turns it around.
It's actually really powerful.
It is really powerful. It's not okay to have hurts happen to you, but those hurts can actually be turned around for good. It reminds me of what the scripture says, that God can work all things out for the good. And, we see that actually in a lot of the characters, and that ties into one of the big themes that we saw from the High Evolutionary, who's like obsessed with perfection.
Yeah, the High Evolutionary is trying to perfect the universe. In fact, he says, and this quote really grabbed my attention while we were watching it, he says, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in. I'm not trying to conquer the universe. I'm perfecting it." But there's this extreme selfishness to his vision of perfection, and it's so extreme that it leads to this like self-destruction and destruction of everything around him, versus the love that you see in the Guardians cast and making that choice to let love positively affect them and also give back out of that place, even though they've, been so hurt in the past.
Yeah, because perfection really, it's self-defined in a lot of ways. But one person is like, oh, that's perfect. Another person would be like, I hate it. It's really even characteristics and traits. Some people can really like a characteristic or trait in someone, and someone else can really not. And, actually, if Thanos almost did that to Nebula. Every time she'd lose or whatever, he'd do something to try to make her more to what he wanted her to be. So she could really relate to the people that were hurt by the High Evolutionary in his striving for the perfect civilization.
I think that love is probably the highest moral good. And love requires freedom. We have to allow people to be free to choose love or choose not love. But you can't have love if you're a robot, if you're an automaton. So what are some of your favorite scenes in this movie?
I don't know. There's a lot of heart in the movie. A lot of like the scenes where you're like, oh, wow, that was really heartfelt or touching. A lot of touching scenes in the movie. I will say it was more gory, and the fight scenes were more jarring to me than I would have expected. So I don't think I would choose one of those as my favorite.
This movie is definitely super wacky. So I would say the creatures were super wacky. The costumes were way out there, kind of along the lines of Ant-Man. So if you liked Ant-Man, you're definitely going to like this movie. What do you think's in store for the future of the Guardians of the Galaxy? We're getting into some spoiler territory here.
Well, the ending scene makes it pretty clear that Star-Lord's going to come back in some capacity, somewhere, somehow, but I don't know that it's going to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I kind of think that the Guardians are maybe dispersing, and we might see them make appearances in other shows, or we might hear about them or something, but I don't know. I don't know that we're going to see another full-length movie of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're going to have a meetup where all these old characters bring all their kids, and there's like a superhero play date thing.
They could. We're going down that road.
Can you imagine a bunch of kids trying to control them if they all have superpowers? It's bad enough chasing a kid through a park What if they could fly and you couldn't?
Yeah. Speaking of superpowers, if you could have any of the superpowers from the Guardians of the Galaxy, what would you choose?
It would be pretty cool to have a robotical arm that could shapeshift and have super strength like Nebula. That would be pretty cool. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Although it would scratch my guitars when I was playing guitar. But
Does that mean you'd have to give up guitar?
No, just have to practice with a metal arm so it wouldn't, go too crazy.
Would it reverberate off it, or that's not the right word? Would it if it's a metal arm, would it
Maybe.
change the sound? Maybe it's like a built-in amplifier.
That'd be cool. I could grow a speaker on my shoulder. Plug directly in.
Let's do a superpower. Speaking of music is a big theme in Guardians of the Galaxy. They always have music playing.
And pretty cool music.
If that's the perfect kind of music for you.
Ooh, music very divisive. What kind of music would the High Evolutionary choose?
Ooh, that's tough.
Opera.
I was going to say, he strikes me as an opera or a classical guy. It seems like that would probably be it.
We're talking about new seasons for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's talk about our special announcement and a new season for the Telescope Show. We are going to be taking a short hiatus during these summer months, and we're going to be working on some rebranding. We're actually very excited about this because we have a lot of things going on, and we want to tie them all together. We want to tie in the podcast, some writing, some music. I'll be doing music at ConvergeCon in July, so you can check that out. Just go to the ConvergeCon website, and you can see that I'm playing on the Thursday of ConvergeCon in the Twin Cities under the name Matthew Seipel Anderson and the Nerdy Folks. And so we've got nerdyfolks.com. And so we're going to be rebranding our podcast to be more in line with that. So
we're really excited. We're going to be doing some extra recordings and we're going to have a release of new information sometime soon. But we're still working on defining all of it.
And we'll be doing some updates throughout the summer probably and getting everybody hyped. But looking forward to being at ConvergeCon in the Twin Cities, doing music and just being a chaplain in that world, and also being at Twin Cities Convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And we're looking forward to creating some new content over the summer months so that we'll be ready to rock and roll come fall.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be continuing this through May, and then we'll be taking a break where maybe we'll release a few episodes here or there, but we'll be taking a break for the summer, and we're going to come back with our new brand and some new exciting information.
Until then, we love y'all. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.